It's 2021. Narcotics are available as easily as candy bars, and pop stars are basically soft porn stars, putting pressures on today's teen to be as promiscuous as ever. In the age of digital self-documenting, self-editing, and self-marketing, all that's publicized are highlight reels or biased articles. Historians in 5500 are gonna have fun decoding what really happened and what never was. It's hard as adults to decipher all the information. We can't expect kids to. And so it's only natural for them to absorb the culture around them, blindly unaware of the real repercussions of growing up too fast. With that being said, I would like to bring back one of my favorite teen fable, if you will, a movie masterpiece that follows a young girl's journey into the age of adolescence, where she is introduced to sex, drugs, and a whole lot of shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Misha and I'm just a little girl curious about a big world. I talk about everything arts and culture, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite movies, 13. 13 truly is one of its kind. It is a low-budget independent film. It provides its viewer with a unique extra layer of grittiness and rawness that other teen movies simply don't have. Now, I'm not obsessed with this storyline because it talks about sluts and stoners. No. In my opinion, the real lessons that we should all take from the movie are not simply on peer pressure or the dangers of high school. As we grow older and we become adults, I would like to argue, and I think the movie is too, the most impactful relationship we have as teenagers with our parents. Yes, your friends and boyfriends will influence you, probably a lot, but I truly believe that if your parents instilled in you some values and some sense of self, as feeble as that may be, depending on your personality too, I think you will be fine. Given that your parents are still around and everything goes well, because life still happens, so don't take my word for it, but I just think that that's the story of 13. I know that some folks are saying that this movie served as a shocking warning to them, but I found it to be quite reassuring actually. While it is a coming-of-age film that explores various themes of adolescence, such as peer pressure or rebellion, the film is not simply concerned with Tracy's growth. The real growth that occurs in the movie 13 is between Tracy and Mel, their relationship, their mother and daughter relationship. So let's begin. I love movies with strong women leads, so I just like to give a little shout out to my ladies. Holly Hunter won an Oscar for her performance as Tracy's mom. Tracy, who's played by Evan Rachel Wood, completely outdid herself and she was only 15. The script was co-written by Nikki Reed, who plays Evie, and this was her first time acting and she completely killed it too. She was 14. The director is also a woman named Catherine Hick. She co-wrote the script too, and she was actually dating Nikki's father, who was a set designer at that time. And I also found out upon research that Evan and Nikki actually started dating while they were shooting. You know it's a low-budget film when everybody's somehow f***ing each other. Also, the clothes that they wore were their own.
Cinematographer Elliot Davis shot the entire movie handheld on a low-cost Super 16mm film in 24 days, which gave it a vlog feel. You can see zoom-ins and out and camera shakes throughout the film. The thing I love most about 13, other than the storyline and the cast members and everything else, is the visual storytelling. I love it when directors aren't afraid to play with the colors, saturation, and camera movements. It makes the movie so much more fun to watch. Catherine Hardwicke did a fantastic job at displaying the roller coaster of emotions, the dizziness of the highs and the lows, the calm down, the aftermath. So raw and yet so beautifully scripted.
The story is loosely based on Nikki's life. The film plot follows Tracy, who's a junior high school student who begins dabbling in substance abuse, sex, and petty crime as she befriends Evie. Tracy lives with her mom in a low to middle income neighborhood in LA. Tracy's mom, Mel, is a recovering addict and a stay-at-home hairdresser. Tracy's father, we don't really see much of him, but he's this rich executive guy who's always at work. Their parents are divorced, always a great recipe for teenage rebellion. It is now common knowledge that kids start developing their personalities fairly young, from infancy, so it should come to no surprise when most of our characteristics are borrowed from our caretakers. And yes, I say borrowed because our personalities are not permanent. It's up to you, my friend. Tracy's father has two scenes in this entire movie, and they both speak enough volume for us to understand his role in Tracy's life. He serves as a contrasting figure to Tracy's mom, Mel. The two couldn't be more opposite in the way that they parent or do business. In one scene, Travis drops by late at night after work to drop a check. He sees his daughter Tracy on a couch. Earlier that day, Mel worked and then her friend came over with her little daughter for Tracy to babysit.
Mom. No, I told you I can't babysit. I have an eye search project due tomorrow.
Baby, cut me a break. You know I need to go. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Right, baby?
And this was her father's response.
Who was that?
I am Kayla.
Excuse me, is this a school night or am I crazy? Like, you should be in bed, right? I want you in bed in 2 minutes, okay? Give me a hug.
I mean, throughout the movie, you'll see Mel lack complete control. She cannot form any boundaries with her clients, with her boyfriends, with Tracy's friend Evie, with nobody. She is financially struggling, and one can even make the assumption that probably the disparity in income does affect her. And maybe it does make her feel less of a parent, because that could also happen. And that might be a reason why she chose to have more of a friend approach to parenting instead of being more disciplinary. But kids don't need a friend, Mel. They need a parent, a mother, a mentor. Because let me re-emphasize what this movie really is about. Let me tell you what happens to kids whose parents aren't around and their mothers aren't acting like mothers. Let's talk about Tracy. I relate to Tracy. I feel like I was that 14-year-old girl, so that's why this movie is so dear to me. But I'll talk more about its personal significance to me later on. I wouldn't categorize Tracy as this nerdy, shy teenage girl. I would probably describe her as someone with good morals, and for a 14-year-old, a sense of identity, although not a strong one. She's a little naive, but she wasn't stupid at all. You cannot tell me that a wimpy kid would go up to Evie Zamora, give her a flex stare, and that's not even all she does. Evie gives her a fake phone number, right? Tracy's all excited, she goes home, calls it, phone doesn't ring. Shocker. Are we shocked? Nobody's shocked. That doesn't faze Tracy. Tracy don't give a f. Tracy knows where Evie Zamora and her friends be at. She took it upon herself to meet them there. Tracy has balls. Tracy is extremely self-aware. She's not aloof in the slightest. She knew from the beginning that if she tried, she could enter Evie Zamora world. She's not Superwoman.
You guys, she's not Wonder Woman.
And unlike Evie Zamora, who completely lacks awareness and morality, Tracy is simply going through the motion and she will be fine. It is a difficult age for anyone, especially with someone who has divorced parents. She didn't really want to steal at the store because she knew it was bad. But when she was presented with an opportunity to steal again in a more public environment where maybe she felt less watched or maybe she felt less peer pressure, she stole that. And like, it's still in her, these delinquent qualities. I don't think, like, a lot of people said that she started rebelling as she befriends Evie, but the reason that whole friendship even happened is because Mel's halfway house boyfriend decided he wants to stay over. It is typical teenage angst. It has always been about Tracy and her relationship with Mel. I mean, Mel promised her little girl that she would not be with him anymore, and Tracy's father literally called her a client in front of her. I mean, where else was she gonna find that boy that she's clearly missing? As the story progresses, you'll see that she only acts out in front of Mel, and Evan Rachel Woods deserves an Oscar for her performance. She captured the mood swing, the dark brooding, the ignorant joy of being 14 so perfectly. I mean, we all know the famous, and one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, Mom. 2,000 years ago. I'm a mummy. I was born 2,000 years ago.
I'm really starting to lose it. Stop it, please.
No bra, no panties. No bra, no panties.
Stop it.
No bra, no panties.
I don't think Tracy ever cared to be the popular girl. Tracy never cared about boys. That was all Evie. And that's why I like Tracy's character so much. It's because it's not about being like, not once did the movie mention what the school was saying about Tracy and her new popularity, whatever, you know? It was never about that. It hasn't even been about the fact that she was getting guys yet. The only guy that she was introduced to are the ones that, you know, Evie took away from her. So I think it was just to add to the story that, like, this is the kind of girl Evie was. And see, between Tracy and Evie, Tracy is lucky, because at time where Tracy forgot who she really was, her mother was right by her side, there to remind her, there to scream it at her if she needed. No matter how poor or how easygoing or undisciplinary Mel was still involved, and that's a lot you could say for a lot of parents. And I think that is the biggest difference between Evie and Tracy. So what's up with Evie? Evie. Somebody needs to make a movie about the Evies of the world, because that's the real sad story. Every time I was watching the film, I always felt more bad for Evie because she always stayed over. She never went home because there's nobody to go home to. Evie's not only deprived of love, but the only type of love she's ever known was abuse. I mean, that's what she says. I don't know the bday line. She's a compulsive liar. But I mean, you can assume that her overly sexual behavior that she shows throughout the film is a result of her being sexually assaulted in some way at a young age. Evie seems like the girl that everybody wants to be like, but take a closer look and there's nothing but emptiness and distraction around her. Girls like Evie peak in high school. They have fun with all of the boys. By the time we're in college, they're already bored. And you see this example with Mason at the beginning of the film stating that Evie Zamora is the hottest girl in school, and at the end of the movie literally pulling her out of her lap because he didn't want to spend time with her. That is the sad reality of girls like Evie, who grew up with no real guidance and spent their years doing whatever with whomever, only to realize that they have no real skill that could be useful in the world, or nor do they have the ability to self-reflect in any way to maintain any type of healthy relationship. So they settle for life because they are the problem and they don't even see it. They only liked the surface of you. And let's talk about the surface of you. People probably wouldn't stick around them had they not been so hot. They know this. And you know, their body and their pretty face probably got them super far. But now we're 30, Samantha. You didn't think your pretty face would get you a house, did you? Not only that, but even their pretty face and their pretty body, they don't even handle that with care. Because they don't know how. They don't exercise, they don't drink waters, they don't take their vitamins. Some of them even start abusing their bodies. They start using their bodies as battlefield while they're dealing with these really real traumas. And I'm not saying all of that is bad necessarily. I'm just saying anything in excess can cause trauma to the body, especially at a young age. If you've been doing this for a really long time, then you're in for a rude awakening. You know, you're gonna wake up and, hi Samantha again, we're 30 now and your life sucks and you hate your job and you don't even really like your husband. He's just the one from your high school that's still in the same city as you. And you can't even look at yourself anymore because you're just not even that hot. You actually think you're disgusting now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the result of a life of partying, a life of reckless fun, a life of no real work, whether that's internal or external, no reflection made, no real growth, nothing. I rest my case. Because if this movie really wanted to show the effects of partying and drugs and all of that, we would have had Evie's story, but we didn't. We had Tracy's story, and Tracy's story is a good one. It is a reassuring one. What Tracy goes through shouldn't be shocking. As a matter of fact, kids are only gonna get wilder and wilder each year. I don't even see this movie as scary. Like, I honestly think this movie does a really great job at telling kids what could really happen if there were no annoying parents around you telling you no and providing you real guidance, because you need it. One of the common criticism that this movie received was that this was unrealistic for kids that age. Me, as a 13-year-old, when I was a 13-year-old, this was definitely happening. No doubt. I first watched this movie when I was 11, so about to enter middle school. Me as an 11-year-old, I did not do any drugs. I was never intoxicated. Throughout high school, I really didn't partake in any sexual activities or any like hardcore any drug taking, really. So I was pretty clean. I mean, I was stealing. I mean, your relationship with your mother definitely has an impact, because if I could think back to grade 7, I probably didn't have the best relationship with my mom, and I think that's when I was the worst at stealing. I was the worst at staying out late. I was the worst at never listening. I was the worst at coming home on a school night at like 11, 12, and I was 11. That's insane to me. I was skipping classes. I was flunking school. I did not care. I think for me too, my mom has always been very nice and very here. She just wasn't as involved with school as Tracy's mom, but I had a really good circle, and I think that's what saved me personally. But I could relate to the fact of somebody checking up on you. I could relate to somebody being like, this isn't you. Tracy to me always had a strong sense of self. She was dealing with stuff that, you know, girls her age shouldn't be really dealing with, I always knew that she would come out okay. I would consider myself very self-aware too, like Tracy, and so I entered high school with this sense of nothing's gonna last forever. Like, these are not even the best years of your life, because I actually read a lot, researched a lot even prior to going to high school. I literally read up every advice I could about high school. And by the way, just a quick note, while I was doing research for this, I had an epiphany. I don't know if you guys know this on the down low, but I mean, it's pretty one of the best ways to influence people's way of thinking are through soft power, movies, songs, and whatnot. Hollywood makes a ton of movies on the high school experience, and it got me thinking, like, why invest so much in the years of your life where you're just stupid anyways? Like, you don't know shit. You're just here to experience, here to learn more about yourself, here to learn what you really like. They're putting these movies and bombarding people with extremely serious topics such as your career, your sex life, drug abuse, and they're showing it to kids so that you guys can literally f your life. By the way, if you guys were ever wondering, yes, I'm a conspiracy theorist. But anyways, it just led me to an epiphany. High school is literally, like, what is high school? Ask anyone. Nobody gives a fuck about high school. To all the kids watching this, and like, this movie in no way does it glamorize substance abuse. If anything, her life is empty. This is what she does on repeat. She goes out, she drinks, she smokes, she hooks up with random guys, goes back to somebody else's house because she has no love at home. This is her life. There's nothing fun about this. What's really cool is building connection, building bonds, building communities, being there for one another. I hope you just know that the drugs will always be there, the alcohol will always be there, the boys will only get cuter, and they only want some smarter and better. Focus on yourself. I did good. I was the girl that was best friend, not with an Evie Zamora, I wouldn't say, but you know, I had delinquent friends that we would like just go to the mall and literally shoplift everything that we can, skip class. Like, I've been around this. I know for a fact that there's nothing cool about feeling empty. I hope you know that cool kids right now are not always going to be the cool kids. You'll realize that the coolest people have always been your mom and dad, because they always know what was best for you. And that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it took me a million years. I really love this movie. I love the message, I love the filming, I love the directing, I love the visual, I love the art, I loved everything. So I really wanted to share, you know, just how much I love this. I just think the message is really good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh my god, I'm looking at the viewfinder, I look exhausted. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching until the end if you made it. Let me know what you guys think. I want to talk about this. I could talk about this forever, but I'll shut up now. Promise my friends that this will be the last they'll hear of me talking about this. So please like the video if you did. Subscribe. I'll see you guys next week.